Welcome to The Explainer. You've probably heard a million times that who you know is everything. But what if there was an actual science behind that? Today, we are going to unpack one of the most powerful yet totally invisible assets for your career and your business, social capital. Okay, let's just dive right in. We're all told to network, right? But what does that really actually mean? Is it just about collecting a bunch of contacts on LinkedIn? Or is there a deeper, more strategic game being played? We're going to look at the research to figure that out. You see, this is a massive problem. So many brilliant studies end up as what some call research debris. I mean, just think about that. Incredible, valuable knowledge that never actually makes it out of the academic world and into our hands. So today, we're here to bridge that exact gap, to translate the science of social networks into a tool you can actually use. So let's get a proper definition on the table. We're moving way beyond that vague idea of networking and into the much more precise concept of social capital. I want you to think of it like a formal framework for understanding the real, tangible value of who you know, and maybe even more importantly, the quality of those relationships. Okay, so if we're going to treat this like a real asset, we first need to understand what it's made of. What are its different components? Think of it like a toolkit for building relationships. Let's open it up and see what's inside. First things first, the research makes a really key distinction between internal and external social capital. Internal capital, that's all about the relationships inside your company, among your colleagues across different departments. External capital is your network with the entire outside world, your customers, your suppliers, your partners. Both are absolutely vital, but they do very different things. All right, first up in our toolkit is what the research calls structural capital. Now, the easiest way to think about this is it's kind of like the plumbing of your network. It's the basic architecture, who is connected to whom, and that structure determines the pathways that information and opportunities can even travel along in the first place. Okay, so if the structure is the plumbing, what holds it all together? Well, that's where relational capital comes in. This is the glue. It's not just that you're connected, it's how you're connected. This is all about the trust, the mutual respect, and the friendships that make working together feel totally frictionless. And finally, there's one more piece. You've got the plumbing, you've got the glue, but for it to really work, you need a shared operating system. That's your cognitive capital. It's the common language, the shared goals, the values that let everyone understand each other almost instantly. When your cognitive capital is high, things just click. So we have the plumbing, the glue, and the operating system. But so what? Why does getting all of this right actually matter for the bottom line? Well, the research points to one huge game-changing answer: innovation. I mean, the research is crystal clear on this. High social capital is a powerful predictor of pretty much everything, from creativity all the way to overall company performance. But its role as an engine for innovation, well, that's where things get really, really interesting. And here's how these different types of capital actually work together to light that fire. Your relational capital, that foundation of trust, that's what makes it safe for people to share explicit knowledge, facts and figures. But to share the really valuable stuff, the tacit knowledge, the deep unspoken insights, you need that shared understanding that comes from cognitive capital. Ultimately, this is the magic of social capital. It's the system that allows the brilliant, unique ideas sitting inside individuals' heads to be combined, debated, and built upon to create something so much bigger, so much more powerful than any one person could ever achieve on their own. But, and this is a big but, like any powerful asset, social capital is not without its risks. The very things that make it so strong can also become major liabilities if you aren't paying close attention. So let's ask a really critical question. When does your greatest strength become your biggest blind spot? When does that powerful, tight-knit network you've built actually start to hold you back? This is where we run into the potential downside. It sounds kind of counterintuitive, right? But research shows that overly strong, really dense networks where everyone knows everyone else and trusts them completely can actually backfire in some pretty surprising ways. And this is the dark side of social capital. Super tight networks can create what researchers call myopia or just plain old groupthink, where any new idea from the outside is just automatically rejected. It leads to inertia and, paradoxically, can even encourage some pretty negative behaviors like knowledge hiding. Let's just zoom in on that last point for a second. Knowledge hiding?
How common do you think that really is? Well, get this. One study found that a jaw-dropping 76% of employees admit to intentionally withholding knowledge from a colleague who asked for it. 76%?
And let's be super clear here. We're not talking about just passively forgetting to share something. The research defines knowledge hiding as an intentional act to withhold or conceal information. And this is often driven by things like internal competition, jealousy, or just a fundamental lack of trust, a total breakdown in that relational capital we were just talking about. So, where does that leave us? What's the key takeaway from all this? If social capital is both this powerful asset and a potential landmine, how do you manage it effectively to get all of the good without the bad? Well, it really comes down to actively managing that toolkit. Step 1, audit your connections. Are you only connected to people who think just like you? Or do you have bridges to totally new worlds? That's managing your structural capital. Step 2, actively invest in building trust and reciprocity. That's your relational capital. And step 3, constantly work to align everyone on a shared vision. That's your cognitive capital. So that brings us to the final question, and it's one I really want you to think about. Take a hard, honest look at your own network, both inside and outside of work. Are your relationships truly an asset, bringing you new ideas and pushing you to grow? Or have they become a comfortable echo chamber, just reinforcing what you already believe? The answer could honestly define your future success.